Hello everyone, my name is Namdi. And I solve and I know I've solved the I believe I know to the things that I solved the but you can call me my name. Sorry guys. Hello everyone, my name is Namdi Michael Apala, and I solved the easy problem to consciousness. Um, I'm going to I'm trying to make this video for record because right now I saw the easy problem of consciousness. Consciousness. But we're gonna start explaining consciousness, explore consciousness, and I have a simulation to back it up. This is the first video I'm gonna make, and then we'll look at the simulation too. Uh, the easy problem of consciousness. What it is. So I'm going to start with the traditional model and the old way of thinking about consciousness, or the model of consciousness, and then try to explain my model of consciousness and how to solve the problem too. We're going to do this systematically, step by step. I got my notes here, so let's start. Um, what is consciousness? Consciousness is the question of why are we aware? Why are we aware? Why are we aware? What is consciousness? In consciousness theory, we have a model of consciousness, but we don't have a definition. No one can define consciousness figuratively. People don't have a definition of consciousness. We don't have a definition of consciousness. Consciousness is a core component of every living thing. I am a core component of every living thing. Every living thing. Animals can have consciousness. Any animal, any animal, any beaver, any animal can have consciousness. Can have consciousness. I'm going to explain that consciousness is it's a it's a genetic property of the it's a property that things are alive, but it's not a it's consciousness. Consciousness not because it's alive, because just things that humans have consciousness. We are conscious. We are aware of ourselves. So what conscious problem addresses? Why are we here? Why are we alive? Why am I? Questions like it has existential questions about nature of things. The easy problem consciousness is split into two problems. The easy problem, or what I call the objective problem, where objectively, why are we all conscious? Why are all humans conscious? Why are we aware of ourselves, of our being, of our core being? Why is there evolutionary mechanism? Is there a reason for that? And the hard part of consciousness, which is the subjective problem, is why we objective people have different experiences, different different experiences when we as we're conscious beings. Why, for example, why if I put warm water on same temperature, warm water, same temperature, warm water on the back of my hand, and I feel it's on the back of my hand, and I put a feel on the back of my hand, say it's or this temperature, or this is cold or warm, because we say it's warm water, but it's 25 degrees Celsius. It's an example of a subjective consciousness. Why we have that kind of experience, like different things, have different feelings, mixed feelings and vibes, like a movie, don't like a movie, things like that. That's a subjective consciousness. So subjective problems of consciousness. Why we have this kind of experiences? We have questions to ask ourselves now. But I've solved the easy problem of consciousness. So we're gonna look at consciousness and the easy problem, and then try to listen and then try to solve the easy problem of consciousness first, and then show how solved it. So so this is a copyright video. So you must also refer to this video if you're using it's on social media, and put a source link so know where it's coming from. So don't just steal my work. It's not nice to steal my work, and I have a business too. So okay. So yes, in the traditional model of consciousness, where people consciousness is like a flashlight. So as you grow older, you become more aware. That's what traditional model. You become more aware. It becomes your light gets bigger, and the flashlight gets bigger, and then to process more information on the information. Then you now do more aware. So that was traditional model of consciousness. This traditional model of consciousness is very hard to go by. I create my own model of consciousness, and what my model says is, and Turing model is meant to really explain consciousness in the explain the easiness. The Turing model explain the ease form of consciousness, but it has some limitations and doesn't really explain the full working of consciousness. But my solution explains it all the easy problem and solves all the problem in relating consciousness. So any question you can ask me about that, I'll send an email. So so the easy problem is this. So my model of consciousness, I devised so my model of consciousness, I used objective consciousness. Objective consciousness is it's like a puzzle piece. If you have a box information, any puzzle, and it's a very big puzzle. It's let's say it's 100 centimeters, no, 150 centimeters wide. That's 50, no, ruler is 50 centimeters. One ruler, one side ruler. It's 50. So I have a ruler. I didn't bring it. Okay, sense in my I have a chest of time. So it's a long ruler, 50 centimeters, and it's 150 centimeters, but width and height. And it's a big puzzle. It's a big puzzle for some, but I'm saying the biggest puzzle you can ever imagine. Like a a big puzzle, a really big puzzle. Maybe it's 200 centimeters apart. This is 200 centimeters apart, and you have to solve small puzzle pieces to form a big image. Like 1 centimeter for 200 centimeters. So the idea of my model is that of solving the objective problem of consciousness is that consciousness is really a filter mechanism. It's a filter, not a, not a, not a, not a, not a, you learn for more information. It's not that. It doesn't work by learning. It's just filter information. It does the opposite of that. That's what I'm going. It filters out information. So I'll give you an example. Let me give you my how I discovered this. So when I was a childhood, I had this experience of consciousness. I developed when my brain was forming, when my consciousness was forming. I had this kind of experience in the world where I was born. I was born, but I was unconscious. I was unconscious. I could not interact. I had this wave of knowledge coming to my brain, but this wave of knowledge was just information, like Einstein's theory of relativity, things like that. You got quantum mechanical principles, things like that. Uh, Things about to happen, the history, all the information, all thought history, all information. I then I and then when I couldn't access it because I was unconscious, I couldn't really process it either. But then, and then I, and then when I was just born like that, I was just a big, it was like a big, it was a big wave. I was just born, I just popped into existence, I was unconscious, but I was unconscious, So when I was unconscious, I was like this is my mode of consciousness. This is what my mind is. So let me give you a second. So I was unconscious and I just popped into existence. I don't know why, because I was being born. Yes, my mom was pregnant, so I popped into consciousness. I became conscious like that. Conscious. So when my brain developed enough, I became conscious, so unconscious. So and later on, when I became more conscious or growing in my mom's belly, I don't know, my mother's belly, in my mom's belly, I started the waves started hitting my consciousness, and then I was in first it was a deep sleep. I was in a deep sleep, and it was like a 1D spotter, and that 1D was I just boom, popped it out of there. And then the second when I came, when I did, and I was a deep sleep, I was unconscious, I was sleeping, and I couldn't touch it, I couldn't, but the information was there, I couldn't access it, there was nothing I could see. And then when I became more aware, but unconscious still, I had to. There was like there was a 2D consciousness plane where I was conscious, but I could only interact with 2D information, like information that came from up and down or left and right. That's what I mean. This in waves. So these are like information, and information. But then, and then that information then after I was trained, after then there's another deep sleep, bam, and then I had then I started then I had the 3D wave, and then when I had a really long sleep, uh, not no, I mean the one dimension, one company was the longest sleep I had, and then I was not unconscious. I couldn't see anything. I couldn't access the information barrier, and that's still unconscious, the unconscious state. And then I came, then I was unconscious again, but aware again. So unconscious and aware, and like I could feel I could feel the 3D environments with waves come to my brain. I could check it, and I was unconscious, but I couldn't interact with them. Then I became conscious, transition state. I could became subconscious. The subconscious allowed me to access information, but not all the information. It's like if I want to know anything about the world, I can access it, but it was a filter because because I didn't know the importance of I was accessing in such a weird way because I was thinking about what I wanted to think about, but I didn't know why I was there, what was important, just thinking because I was like, what's the nonsense? What's the other thing that happened? So the whole information was there in that wave thing, in that wave simulation, in that wave of consciousness. So then I had that was all around my brain, and then my body said sleep, and I went to sleep again. And I was sleeping again. And then I was sleeping, and then finally, when I was sleeping, I then became And then when that done, what I believe is training of consciousness to my prefrontal barrier, is training my consciousness. Then I became, I didn't even know why I had experience because I was conscious, I was unconscious. I don't know. My experience is that it was all metacognition. So it's like a meta to be aware of myself. So that's why I had the ability to see into to see that consciousness thing mechanism, to observe that waves, and so it was like a training for my metacognition, which is my consciousness, thinking about myself, thinking about well-being. So that was my conscious model, and then I became. No, when I came out, when I was born, I was fully conscious. And when I was fully conscious, I opened my eyes and then I can start on classifying stuff. So the first algorithm I'm going to show you, it's not yet, it's classifying stuff. I mean, like look at a computer, look at a mouse, look at a toy soldier. You can see it has a green outline, green all around, and a gun, and that was a toy soldier. Then you see a doll. She has property like shape, form that are distinct. So color is distinct. So and those I call it quantum color dictionary of consciousness because you can make a simulation of a conscious entity, objectively with my model. And then that objective would then categorize objects in the scene, 2 or 3D, with the characteristics. That is a consciousness model. Consciousness model. But now I'm going to now talk about I'm going to ask some key questions. I'm going to give you another analogy. It's simple. In the real world, we have consciousness. Consciousness is a mechanism of the mechanism of all living entity. I believe to fully agree. It's That's what I believe anyway. But I can't. I think I'm going to go too far. I just want to talk about this visual consciousness. So the objectiveness of consciousness. Take for example a puzzle. You have a puzzle, a big puzzle, 1 centimeter per 200 centimeter puzzle pieces. You want to organize the information in a puzzle. The puzzle is very large, you know. What your consciousness does to do is try to piece up, it's just to, with no, the idea of consciousness, you don't know how to organize information, you have no clue about, okay, say you have a 2 centimeter, one to 2 meter, doesn't matter, a 2 centimeter of each, each puzzle piece is 2 centimeter, 2 centimeter or 2 centimeter or length and height. And out of 200 centimeters. So what you try to do is organize that into without a puzzle piece, when you want to what you want to do is organize information in your head, in your consciousness, in your mind, without any other information. So that's the problem. Because what gives you is a clear picture to see that image, or that image of a cat or dog. Because a lot of information, no way, no way for that to be coherent, no way for people to understand that. Because you have a lot of information come to you. Why can you tell things like that? Why? Um, so you have a puzzle piece. What is the filter mechanism to filter out information? You see, so you have a corner space, and then question all questions will try to find the first corner piece, or better yet, yes, that's the first corner piece of consciousness. So it's meant to find the first corner so you can start building up the image of the picture and refactoring. So that's the first idea. You have no way to organize it. You have no way to organize the picture because you don't have a picture of it. You don't have the whole information. So to how to cheat. So what can it is to organize pattern and data and teach you, train you to be self-aware, so you can solve the problem independently of any external stimuli. Consciousness is not a consciousness is just the big point which is meant to solve that problem. It's that's what the subscription. So it's not a flashlight system. So you have a big puzzle. You must solve that puzzle. So I'm going to talk about the particular mind mechanism. I believe the particular is what causes consciousness because if you have access to all information, it's gonna be very hard to solve. The same with consciousness. So information is all everywhere, but you put it as a particular barrier mechanism where your barrier protects you from that information overload that can destroy your consciousness. So it's very important for patients to develop it that way because if you're conscious, you're aware. You have to be aware of your surrounding, but you're overloaded by sensory information. So how consciousness really work is by studying consciousness about the particular barrier mechanism, how it develops, how it forms, and why it's there. How we regulate consciousness. So if you say you go leave the puzzle for a little while, and you leave the puzzle for a little while. You leave the puzzle for a little while. It's fine, but then because your project body is overloaded, you cannot process any information. It's it's like a mind block. Okay, I want to do X. I want to solve this problem X. I want to solve this problem X, and I can't. I'm getting overwhelmed by the problem. Then my project body is like trying to have to go like take a break from the project to find to come back to it with a fresh approach. And now I can see solutions to it. It happens to any problem, fractions, any if you're studying calculus, it's what it is. It's how it's nature of consciousness. Because when you're overloaded, you get something called brain fog. No, you get you get the information is very can lose all information too, because you know if you don't 'cause it's hard to store information that you can't really process. You know. Uh, so we have that's what consciousness is. It's a particular biometric that's trained to when you train your predictive biomechanics, you don't have to organize information. You have to then so if you have to set notes, set reminders to organize your life, you're better off conscious that way because organization techniques are very important. It's meant to organize the whole and build a bigger picture of what you're actually trying to solve. You know, and how you solve it. You know, that's what conscious objective conscious is really doing. Um, it's just it's possible orange traps. Yes, another question, I'll think of it's physiological needs. It's a very dynamic system. It's a very dynamic, evolving. Consciousness is very dynamic and evolving because even objective consciousness is dynamic and evolving because but it's objective to oh, it's objective to everyone. It applies to everyone. That's what the term objective I'm using in this case. It applies to everyone. So, say for example, we humans don't have toes that make us run, because the toes are meant to balance out and spread our legs when we run around and try to do activity. The toes are there in our shoes. When our shoes, we run around with balance. We walk around with balance. Toes don't play a slight role. If you lose your toes, they have to relearn to balance. Then our conscious components have to our consciousness has to adjust for not having toes because objective consciousness is obviously it's hard to adapt to us now, so it meets our physiological needs. If there's no objective for if there's no need for the objective if there's no need to have in the real world, if you're just conscious and you're not in the real world, just in a plane, hyperplane, and with just waves around you, like we call that coma, like if you're in a coma, and you can't wake up because your barrier has not adjusted, then you didn't have to pull the plug. Um, but the thing is, objective consciousness is meant to but your body tries to repair itself to so that's what I'm saying. If you don't have told, then your body consciousness have to adjust to give you cognition over time of evolution time. It has to give you time to adjust to it's dynamics and evolve to match your physiological needs. If you're hyperplane with just waves around you, you don't need to be it doesn't need dynamic. It doesn't it's just static. It's just static consciousness model, objectively and subjectively. That's the hard problem too. There's no need to have consciousness uh, if it's not dynamic consciousness, if you're not in an environment that says physiological real, like experience you can have that can change in the real world. So it's meant to match our physical needs. That's what I would problem. So when you come to solve that puzzle, so you want to solve that puzzle, and it's a big puzzle. That puzzle is very big. It's meant to solve. You want to solve it. You then go and sleep, sleep regulates your consciousness barrier, or you come back in the next day and you can have a fresh image, continue from where you are, you can try to solve it. You just you never know where your barrier. Every generation, everyone that lives goes by generation, and the consciousness evolved. That we evolve humans. We humans evolve too, and yes, that's what the particular barrier mechanism is for the generation. Um, so it's a biological dynamic of everything, and it's real. It's real. Objective consciousness is real. Everyone's conscious. I'm aware of myself, and I'm aware that I'm not someone else. When everybody is born, some people are born know everything. They're born and they know a lot of things. Can they have a strong grasp of the world, like me. So that's why I constantly. God, was so fast. So this answers a lot of questions, more questions than the original model of consciousness, and it's what it is. It's all it is. So when you do when you're looking at the right, doing some work, you're no rushing. It's you're reflecting. You're trying to reset. Not reset. Trying to make your barrier stronger. It's a training mechanism. So your training can become strong. You become more aware. Organize information better. That's what I mean by organizing, by being aware, organization of information, things around your understanding and processing of information. Because you can organize it, you can process it better. That's what this is doing. Okay. So I think that's the stuff I want to say. Now you got to so all animals have different consciousness because of course we are conscious, but they don't. If I had an analogy, what I believe is somewhat true, but it can be validated to if we were by truth, we will be better than us. But if there's a confusion between me and beavers, us and beavers, like we beavers, to be the dam, to stop a flood, and they had the same physiological needs, but they're still beavers, like hands, legs, and things like that. Their consciousness will adjust to it's a competition. They'll actually still win by a milestone, and they will start to copy the design for building dams to protect water and to protect water. So, but they're conscious, bees are conscious. All animals are they're conscious enough. That's the cognitive component is that of that's I believe they're conscious. It's hard, but they have a component. We have a cognition, which is a component of consciousness. So, the cognition, the ability, what we condition is to build down, and 'cause that's what we're trained on. But we humans are very intelligent. We have technology, we have everything. We want to build dams. There's still a competition, That's how I solve the objective computation problem. So objective consciousness is just a thing about organizing information that is so we can see a clear picture of that information, So you beat the puzzle and you have the 2 centimeter, you then organize it every day, you're putting it better, and then you get better organizers. So you have uh, the same image, then a different image, or let's say the same image, we already organize this, and now it will take you less time. You already organize. You now, next time, try faster, be faster to organize this, because then that gives you a clear picture of the model you're simulating. So you have a simulation, almost if you have a simulation of anything you're looking at, try to, okay, this is a color, this color is yellow, this color is orange, this color is blue, this color is purple. That gives you a form, that's a description of it, data of it. And then this is brown, this is black, this is fair, this one's fair, and that is objective condition in a nutshell. I'll show my implementation in JavaScript in the browser, just easy to see, and then I'll try to make a more simulation that uses the visual system to define a real 2D scene or 3D scene where that classifies images based on their properties without being told to, like a simulation, but not an AI simulation, a conscious simulation. No AI involved. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Take care. Like, share, subscribe. Okay. Thank you, everyone. And see my work. You can ask me for my use my work. You can't use my work, but you gotta ask me. Because it's just here for the show. I just want you to ask me to use it. Okay. My business is OB Nexus, so you can see it. You can send, yeah.